Welcome back to another episode of How Do Artists Make Money? The show where we try to answer the age-old question, how do artists make money? Today I'm joined by Alex Ramon, who, unlike me, makes his money in the real world. He's a professional magician who performs 5 nights a week and also owns a brick and mortar business. I had planned to talk to Alex about how social media played a role in his physical, location-based businesses, but our conversation wonderfully steered into more general business and finance topics, which I think proves how business-minded you need to be as an entrepreneurial artist. So with that, let's get into the conversation. Alex Ramon, welcome to the show. Thanks for talking to me today.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'm such a fan of yours. And as soon as I saw that you're having a podcast, I was like, I want to be on it. And then when it was about money and finances, I thought this is going to be a perfect fit for the direction that my career has gone in the recent years.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. Let's start with the basics. How would you describe yourself professionally?
Well, I'm a professional magician. I've never had another job. I've never done anything else ever since I was a teenager. I was about 13 years old, and I started doing magic shows through high school. I did not go to college. I really, my whole life, have lived and paid all my bills through the lens of an artist, working as an artist, working as a performer. And again, that has been a blessing when you don't know any difference and you get stuck sometimes in the illusion of the security of a job that when you're an artist, you don't have. And I never had to experience that. I never had to have that conflict of like, oh, should I do this or not? Because it's what I've always done.
Now, that's already a good segue because we spoke a couple months ago and I only knew you for the magic. And then we did a video chat and you're like, I'm sitting in the brick and mortar shop that I own and operate.
Yeah.
So can you talk a bit about more of that? That's an additional part of what you're doing. And is there anything else that I don't know?
Well, I mean, again, the way that I ran my whole career as a professional entertainer, it was gigging, right? It was a lot of gigs up front, but then I had the opportunity to be a part of these large productions where I was selling tickets. And I toured with Disney and I toured with these other big productions. So I decided that I wanted to produce my own show because that's all I knew. And for years, no one was calling me to do their events. So I didn't know anything else other than let me try and sell tickets to my own show. So that kind of was an entrepreneurial spirit. And that might be a little bit different than most entertainers, live entertainers, because most of them want just, hey, give me the gig, give me my fee. I'll go do my act and I'll get out of here, right? And a lot of people think of it that way as opposed to so much business oriented. So anyhow, that's what I did. So I ended up producing my show and I've been producing my own show in Lake Tahoe at casinos and theaters all over for about 15 years now. And after my shows, I would sell merch, t-shirts, hats, tote bags, all these different things that my audience would buy as souvenirs after the show. And in my career, I was able to make some money. I was always good at saving money. I really was always good. I was pretty disciplined in that. And so I was like, okay, how do I invest, right? I get the Roth IRA. Okay, and when, crypto was kind of a thing, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy some crypto. And then I got a real estate. I bought a house and I'm going to rent it out. So, I mean, I was doing the things, but what really turned the kind of flip the switch for me to go, hey, wait, what's going on here is that I didn't have cash flow. Like I had some net worth, I had some assets, but I didn't have any cash in my pocket. So I'm like, well, I'm living the same way. What's going on here? And so I came across someone named Cody Sanchez. She is huge on Instagram and YouTube. And her whole premise is buy small businesses. In fact, this is her book right here. Main Street Millionaire. That's her book. It came out about a year ago. And so I joined her mastermind, her group called Contrarian Thinking, her community. And it was all about business acquisitions. And so she's going, all right, and talking to, so there's like, and I was one of the first members. So there's like maybe 50 people. And she's like, okay, find what you're interested in, or find something that, you have some expert knowledge in, and then look into that business and that field to acquire. And I was like, I don't have it. I don't know anything other than doing magic shows, dude. Like, I don't know anything about laundromats or HVAC, right? And then she gave me like sage advice. She's like, well, why don't you look at your bank statements, see what you're spending the most money on, and then acquire something in that space to reduce your costs. So I looked at my bank statements, and I was spending $20,000 to $30,000 a year just buying merch, shirts that I was going to retail after my show. And so that's when I discovered and I realized, well, I'm gonna look into this space. And then I found a company that was 30 minutes. We're in Carson City, Nevada, 30 minutes from Lake Tahoe, where I live and have my residency. And I bought the business that now prints my own gear. So I make all my own shirts and hats that I sell after my show. So it's a nice vertical acquisition for my main business, which is performing and doing magic.
That makes so much sense. Having the screen printing business, is that something you kind of explained it a bit, but was it that obvious when you were discovering it, or when did the light bulb go on?
Not at all. Like for me, again, I didn't know anything else. I don't know any other industry other than entertainment industry. So when I came across her investment I looked at it more as an investment strategy. I wasn't trying to leave my W-2 and then be a business owner. I was like, okay, well, I need more money in my pocket, right? And like, she's like, well, if you buy a business that's doing well, this business could end up making you, $100,000 a year. Or it could give you $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month and keep going up, right? And I was like, oh, that would be interesting. That'd be great, because if you invest, you can't touch the cash, because if you pull it, one, you're pulling from the investment, and how you're building your net worth is keeping it invested. So you can pull the dividends and you can pull, but you have to have so much invested to pull $10,000 a month in dividends. And even think about it in real estate. Real estate's not cash flowing you, especially not now. Maybe years ago, you could have enough doors that you're making $500, $700, $800 a month, but I doubt it, especially nowadays. If you get $200 a month cash flow off of a single family home, great. That's pretty good, especially with these rates. Now, again, there's always going to be, there's always going to be examples that where that's not true, where someone's like, well, I make $1,000 a month off a single family home. Maybe they own it outright. Maybe they don't have a mortgage. All those things. Maybe they pulled equity out of the house and they did a cash out refi. So that way they got their cash back, but they're not cash flowing monthly regularly. And so I didn't find any investments that I found that was going to give me $10,000 a month. And that's what I was looking for. And then once you make the cash flow from the business, then you can decide to invest it in any other investment that you want, because you're not locked in, because now you have the cash that you can deploy wherever you want. So that's what turned me on to small business acquisition. And that is now basically my investment strategy. It's just looking at vertical acquisitions that will bring me more cash flow that support my main business, which is performing.
One of your unfair advantages would be that you know a lot of performers who need merchandise, correct?
I do, but I got to tell you, that's not my best customers. My best customers are self-employed business owners that are doing events, because I don't really, to make 25 shirts for somebody isn't going to move the needle. You need someone ordering 500 shirts, 1,000 shirts. And a lot of performers and entertainers, as I said, are gig workers. They're gigging. They don't have the ability to sell to their customers, they don't have the ability to sell to their audience. You have to have a residency to be able to sell to an audience. You can't do a corporate gig or a private gig and all of a sudden afterwards you're hawking shirts and hats. You know what I mean? You could, I guess, but it might be a little weird. But for me, because I have my audience nightly, 5 nights a week, I have a new group of people that are coming through Lake Tahoe all the time. I'm in a tourist spot. I'm a nicety when you get to the lake. Oh, let's do something fun tonight. Let's go watch the show. They buy a ticket to the show. They love it. On the way out, they want a souvenir. So it's a captured audience that I'm now kind of retailing to. And so a lot of entertainers, that doesn't work for them. There's a lot of comedians who, they get hats and shirts because there's a comedy club in the same property that I'm at. And I see them walking through and they're like, oh, I have shirts and hats. And I got to tell you, I've never seen a comedian move merch like I move merch. And I'm saying that because, it's a different, comedy's different than a magic show. But I've talked to these comedians and they're like, yeah, I sell like, maybe one shirt, a night or maybe 2 shirts a night. And, for me, it's not uncommon for me to sell $1,000 a night, at least, maybe $500 to $1,000 a night. Just on slow seasons, it's certainly going to be less. And there's been certainly shows that I've sold 0, right? But it's not uncommon that if we did $800,000 in one night just in merch sales, not including ticket sales, that's not something uncommon.
You mentioned doing gig work and then recognizing, okay, now I need to own my own show and build a residency. And then, okay, I've stockpiled a bit of cash. Now I can level up and buy a business. Looking back, how do you recognize that stage of, okay, I'm ready to take it to the next level? I feel like I might be at that stage because I have a corporation. I've stockpiled a bit of cash. I don't know what business I would ever buy. I got to look at my bank statements, but how do you recognize when to take that leap?
I think there's a lot of information that has good intention that maybe people who aren't at the level yet misinterpret, and it's not good advice for them at the time. And now that seems so weird. So let me break it down and explain. There's this saying that you hear all the time on social media: influencers have multiple streams of income, right? You hear that all the time. That's awful advice, in my opinion, until you have a river, right? I don't want 7 streams. I want a river. I want something that's feeding me, giving me my money, and I'm making money with, and I'm focused, I'm intentional about one business. Once that business is feeding me and I'm like, good, I got it done and down, and it's making me the money that I need to make and some, now I start thinking about different streams. And those streams should all feed your river. I just did an event with Carlton Dennis. He is a tax strategist. And it's funny because he had made a video kind of on this topic about like, look, focus in on one thing. Once you have that one thing that's successful, then you diversify. So it's like someone saying like, I have $10,000 out of a friend of mine from high school called, I have $10,000, bro. I need to invest it. What should I invest it? I want to be smart with it. I'm like, this is my advice. I need you to save 50 grand. You're at 10 grand, you need to save 50 grand. And then as soon as you have 50 grand saved, let me know and we'll talk from there. And then he has 50 grand saved. I go, great, save till you have 100 grand because you're not, right? And so we kind of get ahead of ourselves. And I think because we are fed this information like, oh, I need to have all these things going on. No. Make sure what you have going on is successful and your energy is not split, your focus is not split, so you can maximize the potential of your main thing. Then find verticals or other investments, right? Otherwise, it's not going to serve you. You just need to be making a certain amount of money before any of that applies. And so for you, if you're saying like, I have some money and I want to be smart and invest it, there's certainly nothing wrong with investing in, mutual funds or stocks or ETFs or whatever, right? There's certainly nothing wrong with that. But it's, what do you want? What are you trying to gain? If you're saying, I just want to build my net worth that I can have something saved that I can draw from in the future, great. But again, it depends on where you are and what your goals are. And so if you're saying, hey, I have some money saved, I would like to increase my lifestyle. I would like to be able to afford these things that I can't afford now. You want the cash because you don't want to start pulling from your savings or pulling from, you're not going to, I want to go on a vacation, and the vacation, I want to go all out with my family. The vacation is going to cost $20,000 for the week, and I don't have $20,000. Well, if you buy a house, how can you I want to pull $20,000, in equity, or it's not cash flowing enough, or even with stocks. But if a business is paying you thousands of dollars monthly, then you go, oh, I'm going to use that money to then afford the lifestyle. So again, we have to think of it that way. And until you're at the point in which you can purchase assets that are going to serve you to buy the niceties in life, then you shouldn't level up. So again, it just depends on, again, where you are, what your choices are. But that's what I would say is always keeping that in mind.
Yeah, my situation right now is that I have 2 young kids, so I'm not in a risk-taking phase at the moment. So
totally,
my cash is invested, so I do have the opportunity to pull it because there are dips in the market when I'm not working. There are low points, so I could potentially buy a business, but it's not a good idea for the next few years because of my situation.
Artists and self-employed people, it is very difficult. When I bought my first house, it was very difficult. I had to time my loan application based off of my performing on a cruise ship, so that way it proved that I had stable income.
Yeah, I've owned a few pieces of property. I don't currently. I've gotten rid of them. Didn't care for it. But I'm currently renting this house, and I had 4 or 5 rentals turn me down, and I was like, look, I can pay rent for for the foreseeable future. Here's the cash, and they were like, you don't have a boss. You don't have a paycheck. They didn't believe me. And it wasn't until this house that they finally believed that I had a job. And
they finally believed that you had a job. Yeah.
But even going back to the mortgages on the previous properties that I owned, getting those mortgages was like pulling teeth. And it took someone young at the underwriter's office to be like, look, here's his YouTube. Like, check out this guy.
Here's his YouTube channel. He has millions of views. Yeah. Trust me, this guy will be able to pay his rent. Yeah.
All that to say, learn about finances and how they work.
Absolutely. There are. Look, it just depends on how deep you want to dive. There is a great book for the artists out there. I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramon Sethi. It's a wonderful book. Are you familiar with that book?
I haven't read it, but I get his newsletter every day, and I love his couples money for couples.
Money for couples. Ramit is fantastic because here's what most finance books are written for, like maybe 40s, 50s, and 60-year-olds. And when you read them, right, and it's like either 2 things. Oh, I'm in good shape. I'll be okay. Or 2, I screwed everything up. My life is over. I'm not going to have anything, right? Those are your 2 options.
Those are the Dave Ramsey books, yeah.
Those are the Dave Ramsey. But Ramit, what he did is he wrote a book that was intentionally written for like 20-year-olds. And like, it really is. And so it's a fantastic book on finance. I highly recommend that one, Ramit Sethi, for people who are self-employed, business owners and artists specifically. This book right here, it's right there, Profit First. Are you familiar with Profit First?
No.
Mike Michalowicz is a friend of mine, and he's turned into a great mentor and friend of mine. He wrote a book called Profit First, and it literally is about paying yourself first. And I used to say this to people, and then I read his book and I go, oh my gosh, this is so right. It's pay yourself before you pay your taxes, before you pay your bills, before you pay your mortgage. Pay yourself first. Does not mean do not pay your taxes or do not pay your bills. It means you have to account to pay yourself first. I, for one, do not believe that the government has our best interest in mind. I don't believe that the government is out to do us any favors as we need. I believe we are all independent and need to be able to provide and take care of ourselves. And I think artists very often, because I know so many of them, especially when COVID hit, were completely reliant on government assistance and they just had nothing. And it's not because they never made anything. It's because they weren't as disciplined as I think maybe they should have been prior. And so what does that mean? It means we need to take personal responsibility. And Profit First is a cash management system. And as I said, when I first started my magic business, and I remember when I started, this has been years ago now, I started breaking the 6-figure mark and going into the higher 6 figures and beyond, and multiple 6 figures when I started making really money. Because when I first started making money in magic, it's $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year. And then as I started to progress on the income, I was always good at saving, but I did the exact thing that I said was wrong, is I would save money and then I would spend it because I figured I saved it, but I never paid myself back. And I just was saving, and I go, I saved for this, and what Profit First does is it is intentional saving for different things. So it's not that, I saved enough money to go on this vacation. It's like, okay, well, you allocate a certain percentage of your income to this account, which is labeled X. So for example, you have a profit account, your owner's compensation account, your tax account, your payroll account, your ops account. And so then you have your income account. So all the money goes into one account, and then you assign percentages to all the other ones. And if I make $1,000, well, 15% goes to my profit account. Immediately, 15% of that $1,000 goes into that one, and so forth. And you break it down that way. Think of it kind of like the envelope system, right? You assign, but it's done with percentages of total income and total revenue that you receive. And I can't stress it enough. It really changed my life. It really changed the way that I was able to save money and run my business. Profit First, I highly recommend. Everybody run their businesses that way. I only run my businesses that way with that cash management system. And then again, for financial literacy, the Ramit Sethi, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, is a fantastic book.
Given that I've already mentioned that I've owned a few pieces of property.
Yeah.
And within the COVID years, one did super well, and it was complete luck. It was just, I accidentally timed it perfectly. And one did terribly. So like made a relative fortune and lost a relative fortune. And the one that I did well on, I learned nothing except arrogance, that I was like untouchable and that I could do no bad. And then the one that I did terribly on, I learned everything. Yeah. Because it taught me that how badly I screwed up. And then I was like, okay, and I went to the details. I'm curious if you had the same experience over the years where the screw ups teach you way more than anything.
100%. This probably the worst screw up I've ever had. And it hurts and pains my soul because of how it was naivety. It wasn't ignorance or arrogance. It was naivety. And I began when I was 22 years old. I opened up a Roth IRA and maximized it every year. Killer, 22. However, I did not know. I was like, I was half smart and half stupid.
I hope I can't predict where this is going.
You probably can. The naivety came because I didn't know. I thought by having, this Roth IRA with Vanguard, and then I was putting it into a Roth, and I hate talking about this, Kevin. I thought that by classifying it into a Roth IRA, that it was invested. That's what I thought. But it sat in a money market. That's where I thought this was going. For about 10 years. Is
that just a high interest savings account?
I mean, even if that, kind of. But so I got a little bit of interest obviously on it, but it didn't do anything. And this was from 2008 until 2017. And I guess because I was just, at that time, I was still performing and just putting money out, maximizing every year. I was saving, and then I was doing all the things that I just was focused on performing. I wasn't as focused on necessarily how to maximize my money. I was a bit of a poor steward of it, because if you ask me, but again, I was half right. And I started when I was 22, and I just know, oh, okay, I maximize it every year. I didn't follow up to see what was going on. I just knew it was there every year, and bang, 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 and grew pretty good. But it certainly, I missed out on all of the growth if it was invested in anything, in anything from for about 10 years. And so when I finally realized that, I was just like, I'm such an idiot. Oh my gosh. And I probably missed out on, I don't know,
Yeah, what's
hundreds
worse,
of thousands.
losing money or missing out on potential money?
Rule number one, well, it's just like Warren Buffett's rule number one isn't making money. It's don't lose money. That's rule number one. Don't lose money, because we will just every worker, when you actually look at your cumulative earnings, you will say oh my gosh, and nothing feels worse than if you go, let me total up my last 5 years, 6 years tax returns, my total gross, and see how much money I have in the bank versus how much I've grossed. I mean, it's a dagger, because you're just like, wait, where did it all go? Right. And that kind of is what happened to me at that point, is that I go, wait a second, I made all this money. Where is it? What happened to it? And well, one, it didn't grow. Two, I was spending on stupid things or whatever. But it's definitely rule number one, don't lose money is kind of what everybody would say. And then I made another mistake too. I mean, that was the biggest one where I lost the most money. It's not that I lost money, but I lost all the potential. And so that almost feels worse, because it was like a stupid mistake that it wasn't like I was scammed or got taken advantage of. I just was naive. And it was like, I was so smart, but if I just was all the way smart, so that really hurt. And then I tried to buy this company, and I was scammed, and I kind of was conned out of about I think it was like $25,000. And it was the first thing I tried to buy. And when I got, into this game of business acquisition, and I was a little arrogant. I thought okay, I know how to do this, but it was a low barrier of entry. It wasn't a lot of money. It was only $25,000. And I thought, well, if everything goes south, if I lose $25,000, it's not a big deal. Well, that arrogance, pulled $25,000 from me. And I'm like, no, that matters. And the wealthy people that I know that are certainly, have a lot more money than I have. It's something's $800. They're like, that's $800. That's it. They take it seriously. They know, hey, look, if this is $2,000, no, get a price check on that. See if we can comp that with somebody else, and we get it for $1,800. It's knowing your money. And then as an artist, it feels so slimy though sometimes, because you're just like, well, I just want to produce art. I just want to, can the people just pay me? And I'm not, look, this is how much my art is worth, and just buy my art. Or for you, my videos are this, I'm putting my heart and soul in it, and you want videos, and you're going, okay, well, I want to create art, but then slave to the views, right? It's like, if I make a video like this, it's going to rack me up more views, which then is going to make me more money. But I actually am wanting to go this way. But when I make this video, no one's viewing it. So I'm not making any money off it, but this is what I want to do. Or a painter, or even a magician. It's like, I want to do this show, but this show no one's into. They want the commercial value. I have to go work on a cruise ship. So there's going to be that internal conflict when you're trying to create. But I think that the best way to deal with that is to be as smart as possible with your finances and be as stable as possible with your finances. So that way you create the art that you want to create, and you're not taking a gig because you need to pay. You need the paycheck. As you take the gig because you want to do it. The best work done is when the best work I ever do is when we don't even talk about the money. We're just like, hey, I want to do this thing. Okay, you want to do that? Yeah, let's do it. And you just create it and you get it done. And then afterwards you go, okay, so here. And it's because both people are working at their best and they just want to create the best. But you can only have that freedom when, you're not looking for it through the lens of, I need to make this money.
Yeah, I've mentioned this in some previous interviews, where when I work with really big companies, billion-dollar companies,
Yeah.
they're taking a swing on video content several times a day. So the job they're doing with me is, it's like a dot on their finance,
Exactly.
or like they don't notice it. And they're just like, make whatever, as long as it's within the legal bounds and it says the brand points, go nuts. And I'm like, great. And they pay for it and I make something cool and it does really well. But then when it's like the smaller businesses who are clutching the budget and they're like, this has to return this much. That's when those ones do poorly every time.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true, and it's such a lesson to us. And I mean, I think for me, because actually when we spoke the other maybe a month or so ago, and I was saying that I wanted to do, and I had just an idea. I said, I just have an idea. I was like, I don't really know other than just kind of brainstorm about this idea of a campaign, and it was interesting because I have the ability right now to go, hey, I want to try something different that I normally wouldn't try, but it's kind of interesting. And because I think that it might get me more eyeballs, right? And I say views, but it's just attention because it wouldn't be just social media. So I don't want to bound it just to views because it would be posters and signage and billboards and other things like this. That's like, what is this graphic? What would it look like? How would it, how would this be? And again, if I wasn't in a place to deploy some advertising dollars in it, I would be like, I don't want to try that. Why? Because I don't know if it's going to do anything for me, And I've tried, different things, and I've kind of pulled back on different mediums that I didn't find a return. And I go, okay, well, I'm going to pull that, because I didn't find a return on it. So certainly that's the case, but you have a lot more freedom when you feel good about knowing that you're committed to a budget, as far as advertising, to a budget, and you're going, hey, look, I'm going to just deploy this budget. And it's, as artists, and for me in my business, that was tough at first because you have to be making a certain amount of money before you can feel comfortable doing that. Going like, hey, I have $100,000 in advertising budget, and it's like, that's a nice big budget. However, relative, because some people are going, I spend $500,000 in Facebook ads a month, so it's like, it's all relative. And really it's about being responsible, I think, with your capital and being a good steward of the money that you've generated.
Yeah, I guess one final point to that to wrap things up. If the best place to create from is a place of stability, the other side of the coin is when you're forced into when there's no stability and yet you still have to create stuff. So when I did terribly on that second piece of real estate, I had to dig myself out of quite a bit of a hole. And there was it was a lot of panic and stress. And yet I still had to put on this face of creating online and in a way, not let that show through, not let it affect me. And I had to just take a breath every day and be like, things aren't stable right now, but I need to think about what's the best path forward and not create out of panic, not take the jobs that are going to bring me downward. And to find that clarity to get my way out of it. So there's that psychological and kind of mental health aspect to it as well.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I mean, I've been there too. And then I do live shows. So not that it's, it's different because I might get some bad news or, hey, you have this tax bill, or, hey, we have to make payroll, but the money's not in the account. And I go up, and 2 minutes later, I'm on stage going, hey, everybody, welcome to the show, smiling. And it's in person and people talking to you at the meet and greets afterwards, and you have things on your mind. And so definitely there are stresses, but here's something that maybe to your viewers is helpful. And it's a lesson that I've had to learn. And it's been most just relevant to me in the last really year, 6 to 18 months. I mean, it's really been over my mind again because, we're all striving to get some stability, and you want some investments. You want to be able to take care of your family. You want to be able to fulfill your responsibilities and be loving and present for the people that you care about. You want to be able to deliver on what you have to do on work and for your clients and of all these pressures and responsibilities. And then we kind of have this idea. It's like this, we have this fantasy that's like, okay, man, if I just got this client and we locked this in and I had this much money, then we'd be good, man. We'd be set. I wouldn't have to deal with these stresses enough. And that's just that. That's a fantasy. The minute that we don't have problems and fires to put out, and we don't know how that bill's going to get paid, when all of that stops is when we're dead. I mean, that's the feeling,
Yeah.
right? So you have to, I think if you just accept the idea that no matter where you are in life, right? No matter how much money you have, no matter how good business is going, the responsibilities that you have and the random problems that come up that you're going to have to deal with that weren't expected or anticipated, you realize those are never going to stop. Those are always going to come up, and you just accept that that's part of life. That's part of doing business. And you just get rid and shed this idea that if I only had X amount of money, I wouldn't have these problems. That is not true. That is a complete fantasy. And so I think for me, it was me having to accept, because I was like, okay, I'm going to buy this business. I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to have this much in savings. I'll be good. And then something pops up and you're like, really? And so it's accepting those challenges with grace and being like, yeah, this is part of the game. If you didn't have those things pop up, it means you're not even in the game, right? And it's kind of, too much that is given, much as expected. So we want all the things, but responsibility comes with it, challenges and problems come with it, stresses come with it. But I think that the best thing to do is not let that stress overtake you. And I think I had the right personality to be an entrepreneur and self-employed, that I don't get stressed by those things. And some people, maybe they don't want to be self-employed. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're better as a W-2 or an employee, which is totally fine. And then they do their art on the side. For all the artists, we want to create, we want to bring joy to our audience and whatever form that we're doing that in, whether it's performing live, whether it's creating content, whether it's, painting. And I think we do that best when we feel stable. But then again, I don't know. Look, Adele made some amazing albums, which she was like,
That Adele. I think that's some good wisdom to end on. Is learn to weather the storms and learn about your finances.
Here's the last thing, and I know I'm long-winded, but I'm working on some keynotes right now that I'm going to be presenting at these different business conferences. And something that I think we all should walk away with, which is especially as artists, especially as creators, right? Not just for every human being, which I believe it's for every human being, but especially for creators and artists, is that you all should wake up every day thinking the greatest art you're going to create in your life, you haven't even created yet. Like the potential that you have, you aren't even aware of it yet. The best work you're going to do is in the future. It's going to happen. And I think that outlook is the way to wake up every morning. I do. I really do. I think that times life can get hard and finances are a big burden in that. But what we're here for is to create and to spread joy. And I think that waking up with that mentality that the greatest art you're going to create is on its way is going to put you in the best place to create. So
I agree. Well, Alex, thank you for talking to me today. I appreciate your time.
Dude, so good seeing you. I'm so happy and proud of you, man. Hey, look, side note, I was thinking that we should make like a branded red hoodie for you with like something with like a snowball on it, or basically we'll take one of your viral videos and like create an item with it that has, so the people that are your fans that love your videos the best, it has like something on the hoodie from one of your videos.
I like it. We'll explore that. All right. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye, everyone.
As always, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like and a follow if you enjoy the show. We really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next episode.